Kendrick Lamar just gave us a masterclass in business strategy, and we're going to talk about what every business owner should know from what we just witnessed, because it's more than just, sweeping the Grammys or being selected to be the halftime superstar. We're going to talk about the business lessons that every business owner should learn, so stay tuned.
If this world were mine,
So welcome back. We're going to talk today about what Kendrick Lamar has taught us about business strategy. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with who Kendrick Lamar is, he is a hip hop superstar. I mean, he has been rapping and been in the hip hop industry for quite some time, but recently he has just really gone to a whole new level of superstardom. I mean, just recently he has won multiple Grammys. I mean, he won a lot of Grammys, and he was also selected to be the halftime Super Bowl, I guess, superstar. I mean, when you think about the Super Bowl, it is the most watched television or televised event in the world. I mean, it is the one event that has the most eyes on it at one given time. So this is a huge stage for him. And a lot of people may sit back and look at this as, oh, that's just a music thing. But to be honest with you, there's a lot of business lessons to be learned. And we're going to walk through these step by step. So step one is he created dominance in his industry. Because, see, the thing about winning multiple Grammy Awards in one night is that you send a very clear statement that you're not just participating in the industry. Like, you are a leader in the industry. You are shaping what people think about this industry. And also, when it comes down to, headlining the Super Bowl halftime show, I mean, it lets people know, like, hey, people who may have never heard of him are now going to know who he is, because eyes from around the world are going to be on this show. So when you think about that for a business, what does that mean for your business? Well, step one is, when you think about the types of clients that you serve, or you think about the industry that you're in, it's just, how relevant are you within that industry? Do you actually have a brand that extends beyond just the few customers that you work with? Do you have a pretty public brand? Like, have you done something that makes an impact within your industry, so that when people think about that industry, your name is one of the ones that come top of mind? Now, if you're a business and you think about the types of customers you serve, let's say if your customers are in a specific type of association, meaning everyone in your industry has to have a certain license, or maybe they are, they attend certain conferences. One of the questions to ask yourself is, how can you put your name out there as a leader in that industry? Like, how can you work with those associations? How can you be a person who speaks at those conferences? Like, how can you make a solid name for yourself so that you can stand out in your industry? Now, step number two is going to be how he turned conflict into a cultural impact. See, what most people don't, or most people who aren't familiar with Kendrick Lamar, one of the things that really pushed him to even more prominence was a rap battle or a hip hop dispute between him and another very popular, hip hop artist called Drake. And they had this beef going on, and they were going back and forth. And it could have been just settled by, making a simple song to just respond. And within a couple of months, everybody forgets about it. Everybody moves on. But what Kendrick Lamar did is he took it a step further, and he said, like, how can we make a very solid response? Meaning, he came up with a song that not only addressed his issues with Drake, or not only addressed the conflict with Drake, but he also brought in very relevant elements that people actually cared about, to where he took a simple conflict and he turned it into something bigger, and he turned it into something substantial that people really wanted to pay attention. And in doing that, He created a video around it, and he created such a hype and a movement around what he was doing and how he went about responding that people really, really paid attention to it. Now, when it comes down to your business, how does this apply to your business? Well, the truth is, there are conflicts happening in our businesses all the time. And you have some choices. Either you can look at those conflicts and you can complain about them, or you can find ways to see the opportunity within the midst of the conflict. Like, now, I will say, if you're running a business, there's going to be no shortage of problems or issues that are popping up. And one of the questions you should ask yourself is, when a problem pops up in your business, do you sit back and complain about it, or do you actually get in there and figure out, okay, all right, what can we do in this situation? How can we make the situation better? And as a bonus, you can ask yourself this question: how many other people are also struggling with this? Like, because this problem probably didn't just impact us, this problem probably impacts a lot of other people. So, how can we become a champion in this situation to say, not only can we solve it for ourselves, but how can we also solve it for other people? Step number 3 is where we start to look at something that, hey, there is a little bit of luck that comes into your strategy, because a lot of people tend to think about, oh, I'm going to make these amazing plans and I'm going to execute. I'm going to do this, then this happens, this happens, this happens. But let's be honest, there is a little bit of luck that plays into everyone's strategy. And what I mean by the word luck, meaning there are things that happen outside of your control that align. Now, you can influence it a little bit, but it's not completely within your control. So in step number 3, Kendrick Lamar goes from winning multiple Grammys to now he is going to also perform at the Super Bowl. Now, the timing of those two things is amazing. Like, the Grammys happen, and then a couple of weeks later, he's going to be performing on the biggest, I can say, music stage in the world. Now, he didn't really control whether or not he won the Grammys. Now, that is outside of his control. That's what I mean by there's a little bit of luck and timing that comes in that is outside of your control. But one of the things that we can say is that after winning the Grammys and then leading up to the Super Bowl, like, this is a dynamic duo of events that are happening that are putting him in the limelight. Now, here's what you can learn from a business standpoint. And here's what I recommend for a lot of business owners is when you're building your business, a lot of times, depending on what industry you're in, there's some type of award show that's happening, or there's some type of, I guess you say, major event or conference that is happening. What I tend to do is figure out how can we combine multiple publicity events as close as possible to really maximize the amount of attention that we are going to get on the things we are doing in our business. For example, we lay out a list of what are all of the major conferences within our industry. And then what we do is we start to plan out what type of content can we create around the time that that conference is going to happen. And then also we have a team that is looking at, hey, what awards or nominations should we be submitting an application for? Because if we can win an award, for example, like the 40 under 40 CPA, we won the award. Well, within 2 weeks after that, we had videos planned of talking about, the accounting profession, talking about what we were doing there, because a lot of people were going to see the recognition of the awards if we won. And then people were going to have their eyes on us, and they were going to see the content we would put out around the time that the awards happen. As I said, you may not necessarily control whether you win the award, but what you can do is you can think strategically about the timing and say, hey, if we do win an award, what type of content can we release? What types of, information can we put out there to really capitalize on this moment? Now, step 4 is the business strategy that comes with all of this attention. See, this is an area where I think Kendrick Lamar has done a great job, or he and his team have done a great job of recognizing that, hey, you're going to get a lot of attention on what you are doing. I mean, you're killing the game in the Grammys with so many Grammy Awards. You have the halftime, Super Bowl halftime show coming up. I mean, all the other things that you've been consistently doing and delivering over time. Now is the moment to really understand. You're going to get a lot of requests for endorsement deals. So, do you have your team prepared to really capitalize on those types of things? Because all of this attention would mean nothing if you can't actually leverage it to use it to help move your agenda, move your operation, move closer to your goals. So as a business, the strategy, or let's say the lesson, becomes very clear. It's when you do get a lot of attention, the question you should be asking yourself is, have you positioned yourself in a way to really capitalize on that? Like, when you win an award, there are going to be people who want to actually bring you onto their podcast, people who want to collaborate with you. The question is, do you have a process set up that will allow you to collaborate with more people, to leverage your moment in the spotlight to then build more relationships, or to get more publicity, or to get more press? For example, back when I was picked to be a speaker at a pretty big event, one of the things that we took a step back and we realized is, hey, by being announced as one of the speakers for this really big event, guess what? People are going to be paying attention to you. So what we had to do in the background is make sure, like, hey, we're going to get more attention, which means we're probably going to get more clients, or we'll get more endorsement deals. What things do we need to set up in place so that when those requests come in, we have a process for being able to handle all the new clients that are going to come in? We also have a process, and we have a kind of a template of a contract on, if someone asks us to do an endorsement deal, well, what is our request? What do we need that deal to look like for us to say yes? And that becomes a huge strategy for a lot of businesses, is that you're going to have great things happen. But the question you should ask yourself is, do you have the process in the background in place so you can capitalize on those moments? So let's just recap the things that we've covered of the masterclass in this business strategy that Kendrick Lamar has given us. I think the first thing is, one is, you got to consistently show up in your craft and in your industry. I mean, none of this would happen if Kendrick Lamar wasn't consistently showing up and delivering. So make sure you do that. Like, if you have clients, make sure you are delivering for your clients, and also making sure you're staying relevant to the clients that matter to your business. What you should do is take a step back and ask yourself, what matters most to the clients? What are the clients paying attention to? And how can we show up and be more relevant to what they are doing and what they care about? And then you also want to, I would say, stack your wins when you can. So there are going to be some things that are outside of your control, some opportunities that pop up. But when you can, what you want to do is try to stack your wins, because what that's going to do is it's going to create more buzz, more attention around what you do and how you do it. If you win an award, you should be thinking about, like, hey, what other things can we share? What other things can we put out around that same time to really capitalize on getting more attention and more publicity? And then don't forget about the business strategy, because all of the attention is great. But if you can't take that attention and then convert it into something useful for your business, then I would probably say you kind of missed the moment. And when you think about Kendrick Lamar, what we can say is he definitely isn't missing the moment. So I hope these business lessons will be very helpful for you in how you think about your business strategy and moving forward.